Good morning, students. Today we will discuss drawback of Rutherford's atomic model, Niels Bohr's atomic model and electronic configuration of various elements or atoms from chapter 4, structure of the atom. First of all, let us start with drawback of Rutherford's atomic model. In previous class, I told you about Rutherford's atomic model. Rutherford's atomic model postulated that most of the space in the atom is empty. Then there is a small central core region inside the atom known as nucleus, where entire positive charge means protons and mass plus neutrons are present, and the size of nucleus is very small as compared to the size of whole entire atom. Okay. Now, by these postulates, by this model, you can easily estimate that this nucleus is positively charged. How is that? Because this nucleus contains protons and neutrons. Protons and neutrons together are collectively known as nucleons because they make up or compose the nucleus. Okay. Now, this nucleus contains protons and neutrons which are collectively known as nucleons as they make up nucleus. Now, protons have positive charge but neutrons have no charge. So, what is the net charge on nucleus? It is positive charge because nucleus contains protons and neutrons. Neutrons have no charge, protons have positive charge. So, what is the net charge on the nucleus? It is positive charge. And electrons, being negatively charged, attract towards nucleus. So, they revolve around nucleus in circular orbits. It is similar to the revolution of planets around sun because planets attract towards sun. So, they revolve around sun in circular orbit. In the same way, negatively charged electrons, being negatively charged, attract towards positively charged nucleus. So, they revolve around it in circular orbit. During revolution, they undergo acceleration due to change in velocity. As they undergo acceleration, they gain kinetic energy. As a result, they release out, they radiate their increased kinetic energy in surroundings. Finally, they lose their energy and fall into the nucleus. It means any time these electrons can fall into the nucleus. So, it means atom is unstable, that any time these electrons can fall into the nucleus. So, atom is unstable, but in reality atom is quite stable. So, Rutherford's atomic model could not explain the stability of the atom, that how is it stable, how does it achieve stability, that couldn't be explained by the Rutherford's atomic model. This drawback was removed in Niels Bohr's atomic model, also known as Bohr's atomic model. In his atomic model, Niels Bohr postulated two main points. What are the two main points? He said that there are certain special discrete orbits present inside the atom means only certain special fixed discrete orbits are allowed or present in the atom. Next point, when electrons revolve around the nucleus in these discrete orbits, they do not radiate energy. Okay, so these are the two main postulates of Bohr's atomic model. What are that? Niels Bohr postulated that, said that only certain special fixed orbits called discrete orbits are allowed or present in the atom. Secondly, when electrons move around the nucleus in these discrete orbits, they do not radiate energy. It means their energy remain constant, so they do not fall in the nucleus. They revolve around the nucleus in their discrete orbits continuously. In this way, atom is stable, which is the reality. So in this way, Bohr's atomic model corrected or rectified the mistake or drawback of Rutherford's atomic model. These discrete orbits you can see in the figure. So these discrete orbits in which electrons move or revolve around the nucleus are known as circular orbits or shells or energy levels, which are denoted with letters K, L, M, N. K shell is the first shell, so we can denote its number equal to 1. L is the second shell, so we can denote its number with 2. M is the third shell, we can denote its number with 3. And N is the fourth shell, so we can denote its number N is equal to 4. So these discrete orbits or circular orbits in which electrons move or revolve around the nucleus are also known as shells or energy levels, denoted with K, L, M and so on, with number 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. Now next topic is how are electrons distributed in different shells or orbits. See, so far in this chapter we have learnt about the structure of the atom. Okay, what is the structure of the atom? That in atom most of the space is empty. Then there is a small central core region inside the atom known as nucleus, where entire positive charge in the form of protons and entire mass in the form of protons and neutrons are present. Okay, now electrons being negatively charged particles revolve around the positively charged nucleus in fixed discrete orbits called shells or energy levels, named as K, L, M and so on. Now question is, how can we know that how many electrons are present in a particular shell? Means how can we distribute the number of electrons in the shell, or how are electrons distributed in different shells or orbits? How many electrons can accommodate in K shell, how many in L shell, how many in M shell and in N shell, so on. So now we will study how are electrons distributed in different shells or orbits. The distribution of electrons in various shells of an atom is called electronic configuration. So you have to remember this point. The distribution of electrons in various shells or orbits of an atom is called electronic configuration or electronic distribution. Okay, now how are electrons distributed? Okay, their distribution in various shells of an atom is known as electronic configuration or electronic distribution. But how are they distributed in various shells? For that we have to study the rules given by Bohr and Bury. So Bohr and Bury, these were the two scientists who gave certain rules for the distribution of electrons in various shells of an atom. By following that rules, we can write the electronic configuration of an atom, we can write the distribution of electrons in various shells or orbits of an atom. Now what are that rules? Now first rule, in the very first rule it was said that the maximum number of electrons which can be accommodated in a given shell can be calculated or found out by the formula 2n square, where n stands for the shell number. It means if you want to know that how many maximum electrons can be accommodated in K shell, then K shell is the first shell, so n is equal to 1. Okay, so its shell number is 1, so its n value is 1. Now apply the formula 2n square. 2 into n is 1 square. 2 into square of 1, 1, 2 into 1, 2 electrons. So maximum 2 electrons can be accommodated in first shell or K shell, not more than that. Now for L shell, it is shell number 2, so its n value is 2. Now apply formula 2n square. 2 into n, 2 square. 2 into square of 2, it's 4. 2 into 4, 8 electrons. So maximum 8 electrons can be accommodated in L shell. Now M shell, it is third shell, so its n value is 3. Apply formula 2n square. 2 into n, 3 square. 2 into square of 3, 9. 2 into 9, 18 electrons. So maximum 18 electrons can be accommodated in M shell or third shell. Now N shell, it is fourth shell, so its n value is 4. Apply formula 2n square. 2 into value of n, 4 square. 2 into square of 4, it's 16. So 2 into 16, 32 electrons. So if there is n shell, fourth shell, then maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in n or fourth shell is 32 electrons. So by applying formula 2n square, we can find out the maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in a given shell, and we have already found out or calculated the maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in various shells. In K, 2 electrons, L, 8 electrons, M, 18 electrons, and N, 32 electrons. Now second rule, in case of outermost shell, the maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in any outermost shell or last shell, that is 8, except K shell, because if K shell is the outermost shell or last shell, then it can have maximum 2 electrons, it is its capacity. So except K shell, if outermost shell is L, M or N, whatever their capacity, it doesn't matter. They can accommodate only 8 electrons if they are outermost shell. Okay, not more than that. Now, third rule, electrons are always distributed in a stepwise manner. Means when electrons fill the shells, then they fill the shells in stepwise manner. First, they fill inner shells, then they go in outer shells. It means when electrons fill these shells, first they completely fill K shell, then remaining electrons will move to the L shell, then they completely fill L shell, and if there are more electrons, then they will go in M shell and then in N shell. It means electrons are distributed in shells or orbits of an atom in a stepwise manner. First, electrons fill the inner shells completely, then they can move in outer shells if there are more electrons. Okay? Now, we will take 3 examples in order to understand how can we apply these rules while writing electronic configuration or electronic distribution of an atom. See, sodium. Total number of electrons present in sodium is 11. Okay, so in K shell, out of 11, how many electrons can be accommodated in K shell? Maximum, that is 2. Now 2 electrons are already accommodated in K shell. 9 electrons are remaining. Now move to second shell, that is L shell. Out of 9, 8 electrons, maximum 8 electrons can be accommodated in L shell because it is the capacity of L shell. Now 1 electron is remaining, that will move to M shell. So here we have followed all the rules regarding electronic distribution or electronic configuration, that is maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in a particular given shell can be found out or calculated by the formula 2n square, and according to this formula K shell can have maximum 2 electrons, so it is with 2 electrons. L shell is having 8 electrons maximum, so it has 8 electrons, and M shell it can have 18 electrons but only 1 electron is remaining because 2 plus 8 10 and total electrons 11, so 10 are already accommodated in K and L shells, so only 1 electron is remaining, that will come in M shell. Okay, second rule, see what is the outermost shell M? It can have maximum 8 electrons. Okay, it is having 1, so it is as per the rule 2. Third, fill the shells in stepwise manner. First, electrons fill the inner shells. So, firstly, electrons fill the innermost shell K completely with 2 electrons. Then, electrons move in second shell L and fill it completely with 8 electrons. Then, remaining electron move in outermost shell L. Okay, so this rule is also followed. So now we have electronic configuration of sodium, that is 281. Okay, now what about potassium? Potassium has 19 electrons total. So what is its electronic configuration? See, first of all, K shell. Maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in K shell 2. Then L shell, maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in L shell, that is 8. Okay, now 2 plus 8, 10. So out of 19, 10 electrons are already distributed or accommodated in K and L shells. Now M shell. According to formula 2n square, M shell can have maximum 18 electrons. But according to rule second, if it is outermost shell, then it can accommodate only 8 electrons. So we have to fill it with 8 electrons. Now 2 plus 8, 10 plus 8, 18. Out of 19, 18 electrons are already accommodated or get filled in these 3 shells, KLM, and now 1 electron is remaining, that will come in last shell. Okay, so this is the electronic configuration of potassium 2881 in shells KLMN. Now if you are thinking that after 2, 8 in K and L shells, means after 10 electrons out of 19, 9 electrons are remaining. So these 9 electrons can be accommodated in M shell. That can be accommodated according to the formula 2n square, first rule. But second rule says that if there is any outermost shell like LMN, then maximum electrons that can be accommodated in that shell is 8. So out of 9, only 8 can be accommodated here, because now it is becoming outermost shell. So if we fill 9 electrons here, then it will be outermost shell, and in outermost shell maximum 8 electrons can be accommodated. So if you write 9 here, remaining 9 electrons, then it is the violation of this rule. This is not happening. So only 8 electrons can be accommodated in it, and remaining 1 electron will go in N shell. Okay, now what about calcium? There are 20 electrons in total. Okay, so in K shell 2 electrons, L 8, now M. See, out of 20 electrons, 2 plus 8, 10 electrons are already accommodated in K and L shells. Okay, now out of 20, 10 are already accommodated in K and L shell. So 10 electrons are remaining. Now M shell is there. According to rule first, formula 2n square, M shell can have maximum 18 electrons. But according to rule second, if it is the outermost shell, then it can not accommodate electrons more than 8. So only 8 electrons can be accommodated in it, because it is the outermost shell. Okay, now 2 electrons are remaining, that will go in N shell. So the same thing is there. K shell has 2 electrons, L has 8 electrons. So out of 20 electrons, 10 electrons are already accommodated in K and L shells. Now there are remaining 10 electrons, and we have M shell. If these 10 electrons are filled in M shell, that is not possible, because now M is becoming the outermost shell, and being an outermost shell, it cannot accommodate more than 8 electrons. So only 8 electrons can be accommodated in it. Now 2 electrons are remaining, that will be in N shell. So this is the electronic configuration of calcium, that is 2882 in K, L, M, N shells respectively. This is all for today. Thank you. Have a nice day.